It is shown at the start of the movie that some mysterious aliens known as parasites are making their way to the city from the sea. Then a sleeping man comes on the scene in his room. One of the parasites crawls and enters his ear. That man is irritated, but he goes back to sleep to calm down. Now a boy appears named Shinichi. He is listening songs at night, adjusting headphones in his ears. That parasite tries to enter his ear but of no avail. Shinichi feels itching and considers it an insect when it goes to his nose side. He throws it away while picking it up. He moves to crush it. Then that parasite comes on his hand skin after cutting it. His mother also arrives at the same time. He exclaims, "Look! My hand has become infected." His hand has no trouble when his mother checks it. Next morning, it is shown that Shinichi feels some irritation in his hand when he is at the dining table. Then a man is shown whose ear was infested. He stands in front of his wife. He opens his monstrous mouth, which was too horrific. And he engulfs his wife's face through his monstrous mouth. And it was happening due to that parasite. Then Shinichi comes on the scene who meets his friend on the way, going to the school. She observes his mysterious actions. When he reaches school, then something unusual was happening with him. As his right hand got much strength. Coming to his house, he tries to bruise his hand. But his hand mysteriously defends itself while stopping him. Then it is shown that his hand has transformed into a parasite. And it was communicating with Shinichi. Further, it is shown that it not only used to read Shinichi's books but also used his laptop. Because it was interested in human beings' ways of living. Shinichi had stopped it to go ahead when it tried to enter his body. So it had only infected right hand and was handling this hand. It declares its name Nijai. And it requests, "Never cut me off. Will not harm you because you are my entertainer." It has appeared now that Shinichi and Mijai were creating a friendship bond. But all infected people by parasites were creating havoc throughout the city. They were quenching their appetite after killing human beings. Contrarily, Mijai dragged Shinichi to a hotel where many parasites were eating the flesh of human beings. They misunderstand as Shinichi is also infected, so offer the flesh. However, they proceed to decapitate him despite the fact that he is still human and not totally contaminated. But Mijai defends Shinichi, attacking them. Because it could also die with the death of Shinichi. So he had acted for itself. News is broadcast that natives are being killed. And no one is able to know about the killer. Because parasites were carrying it out tactfully and covertly. Shinichi says to Mijai, "Why do you not restrict your companion's parasites to not eat human beings?" Then Mijai replies, "You also eat vegetables and other types of animals. In the same way, our food is human beings. So what is wrong with it?" Mijai used to sense the type of parasite in its surroundings. Going to school, it tells Shinichi that there is Anther parasite near you. It was not anything else but his teacher. Witnessing Shinichi, that teacher knows that he is infected. But she says that there is no need to be afraid of me. Because don't want to harm human beings. Rather, am knowing the human beings' ways of life so their attributes may always remain in me. It leads him to two more parasites, including a police officer and a student. It says, "This police officer is my spouse and we are expecting a baby. And that baby will be a human being. And we also want to lead our life like humans. We will not put anyone to death in public because it is unharmful. But we want to eat in private. Will you be a part of our group?" But Mijai disagrees. Next day, the same police officer comes to them. Then Mijai reveals Shinichi, "He has come to kill us. Because he had detected that we ended a parasite in a hotel on that day." Meanwhile, police officer attacks him. Mijai and Shinichi fight with him. At last, he kills him. Coming into the house, Shinichi was feeling guilty as he has taken a life. Contrarily, it is shown that Parasyte moves to another human's body, coming out from police officer's body. It was not anyone else but Shinichi's mother. And she was proceeding to Shinichi to kill him. Mijai exposes to Shinichi, "She intends to kill you." Shinichi says to it, "Be careful. If you say something about my mother." Because he had cordially association with his mother. He never wanted to lose his mother. At first sight, his mother's face also transforms into the parasite like other parasites. And she attacks Shinichi. He is nearly to die because of his waste of blood. Next morning, it is shown that he has restored himself. Mijai tells, "You were badly injured but cured your wound with my cells." But the threatening thing was this, as Mijai's cells had transferred into Shinichi. He was under an infection completely. Now Shinichi begins to search for his mother. But he finds her nowhere. Then he asks about the police officer, going to the teacher. But the teacher does also not reveal anything. Mijai tells him, "We'll have to sleep 4 hours in a day. At that time, you will have to fight alone because we'll not protect you." Having Mijai's cells, the attributes of Mijai had started to appear. Now it is seen that a student had transformed into a parasite. The student who was shown by the teacher. He takes admission in the school of Shinichi. He pretends to be the friend of Shinichi. With the passage of time, the reality is exposed to everyone as he is Parasyte. The student then murders everybody. He then proceeds to killing Shinichi's buddy. But Shinichi jumps off the building, taking his friend. That teacher approaches there who wanted the death of that student. Because her secret may be revealed by that student. She explodes bomb there but remains safe. Police approach there but that student also ends the police. Mijai tells Shinichi, student is on the building roof. Going to another building's roof, kills him while shooting arrow. Then he returns to the teacher and asks the address of that police officer who was Parasyte. Teacher tells him the location. The parasite of that police officer was still in his mother. But it is the rest time of Mijai. It means Shinichi had to fight alone here. Somehow, he cuts the throat of that parasite in order to end it. His mother and police officer are ended later. Then Shinichi is shown visiting the hospital to meet his friend. He is uttering that will kill all parasites one by one. Then it is shown that someone is taking their photos. And he was a spy. The movie part 1 is completed here. Now part 2 of this movie will be explained. Now the time after a few months of that incident is shown in part 2. When military officers were aware that there are parasites in the city who are attacking humans. And they wanted to rescue them. So they get released a serial killer from a prison. Who could detect the parasites from the human beings? Human beings are presented before him one by one. Then he calls everyone human beings. But he becomes thoughtful as Shinichi appears before him. After a great deliberation, he says that he is also human. Returning to the house, Mijai tells Shinichi that there is a parasite at a little distance of us. They visit a nearby building where a parasite is eating the flesh of a human being. Noticing Shinichi, that parasite moves to Shinichi. But Mijai puts it into death. Suddenly, Shinichi senses as someone is behind him. He was no one else but that person who had taken the photos of Mijai and Shinichi at the end of part 1. Then the city mayor comes on the scene who speaks out in Parasyte's favor. He was a devilish person. And that teacher had togetherness with him. Now it is shown that teacher had given the birth of a baby who was a human being. That mayor had known that Shinichi is killing parasites. He also wanted to end him. But teacher prohibits him. She tells Mijai and Shinichi belong to one body. Want to see how they get together with each other. Killing Shinichi, our parasite Mijai will also know more. So she had sent that spy after Shinichi to keep an eye on him. While walking, one day, Shinichi again senses as someone is behind him. That spy suggests while spying, you should reveal yourself before police. But Shinichi says, no, police department is also full of many parasites. Shinichi comes to know here that teacher has engaged spy to pursue him. He says to the teacher going there, what is being done by all of you? Why do you not cease it? Then teacher says to him, why are you killing our companions' parasites? They are yet learning how to eat human beings. After a time, they will stop killing them. He keeps quiet and he reveals going to spy that teacher is very menacing parasite. Beware. She may also harm you. But spy does not trust him. Next day, spy meets that mayor. He wanted to confirm whether Shinichi is speaking truth or not. So he sets the audio tape in mayor's room. Knowing about it, mayor orders to assassinate spy. Saying, he has become a threat for us. He sends a parasite to his house in order to kill spy. They kill his daughter because he is not at home. Mijai informs Shinichi, 5 parasites are coming to attack you. Amon advances them, he was the amalgam of the 5 parasites. Mijai and Shinichi explode his head while fighting. They think as he is dead. But there was only one parasite who had been killed. Other 4 parasites were still alive. Rest of the parasites are alerted and start handling him. Then teacher says to mayor, if it disallowed you that you will not send parasites to end Shinichi and spy. So why did you do so? Here mayor notices that teacher was developing the feelings of human beings after being a mother. He disgusts it and sends 3 parasites to end the teacher. Being parasite, she gets understanding as en Monona Ic Kamina to end her. Calling them to car park, she ends them while fighting alone. Coming back to the house, she notices that her baby is missing from there. He finds a note there with a statement, "Come to Bridge for a meeting and your baby is in my custody." Actually, Spy had left that note who wanted to take revenge of his dead daughter, taking the life of teacher's baby. That teacher moves there in confusion with Shinichi. Shinichi tells Spy, "You will get nothing after killing this baby. Because this baby belongs to human species." Military officers also come there. They knew that Mayor had concealed many parasites in his building. Now they were sending the building people one by one. They were shooting the parasites among them after finding. Serial killer was also present there. Then Mayor is shown to deliver his speech. He tells that humans are the true monsters, annihilating parasites for no reason. Then the present military officers target him and end. Then serial killer shouts, he was human being but just helping parasites. Turning back, they find that man who had 5 parasites in him. Everyone shoots him but he does not get any harm. Then it is shown that Spy is about to throw that baby. Witnessing, teacher has to transform into Parasyte to save her baby. She thrusts her one hand into the body of Spy. As a result, everyone comes to know that she is Parasyte. Police start firing on her continuously. And she had known that she will be no more now. She comes to hand her baby over to Shinichi. As she gives this responsibility to Shinichi, she immediately dies because of receiving many gunshots. Here Shinichi reminds his own mother. And he develops the human feelings. Now police take Shinichi for interrogation. But they are reported that a man having 5 parasites have killed the military officers. Then Shinichi drives to that place. But those parasites cause of his accident, stopping him. He moves to the forest. He says to Mijai, he will detect me where I am until you are with me. He requests Mijai to segregate from him. Meantime, that parasite comes there. He begins to attack him. Shinichi and Mig had befriended now. So Mijai sacrifices, segregating itself from Shinichi's body. It asks Shinichi to run away from there. Mijai is killed by that parasite. As being depressed on it, Shinichi moves to his friend's house. She takes care of him by heart. While lying, he immediately observes that his arm is generating one more part of Mijai. It happened because Mijai's essence had transferred into Shinichi's body when it had cured him. So it may be produced if he wanted it. Shinichi knows that Parasyte will again detect my location as it has generated. So he leaves for the sake of his friend's life, saying goodbye. Going outside, he is caught by that parasite. Reaching a mill, he stabs a chemical earthing rod into his body. But he remains safe. He says, "What are you thinking about me? We'll kill other human beings after killing you. And other parasites with me will dominate all over the world." He is almost killing Shinichi. Suddenly, Mijai is regenerated as his hand. It attacks on that parasite. Meanwhile, there is a trouble in his body and he becomes irritated. Mijai tells him that rod had the multi-chemicals with which you stroke him. So all parasites don't want to take the hold of his body. All parasites leave his body one by one. Now only the skeleton had left behind. Shinichi throws it down into the fire which takes his life. After a long while, everything is shown routine-wise. Mijai is saying to Shinichi, no parasite has left behind in this world. So we should not live together. We'll be separated from you. But Shinichi does not agree. But Mijai itself rooted it out. And Shinichi's real hand appears. And being sad, he begins to remember Mijai. Now it is shown that much time has passed. Shinichi and his friend were leading a happy life. And they used to go to meet that teacher's baby. Suddenly, it is shown that serial killer had come back. He captures Shinichi's friend. He whispers in her ear. The real monster is human being. But Shinichi's friend says to him, the real monster is you. You killed the people. On it, that serial killer pushes her down from the building. But Shinichi suddenly goes there and rescues her, extending his hand. Here he realizes that Mijai has helped him out here. The movie's part IL is eventually ended. Thanks for watching.